going to try to make this quick because if you're a Patreon subscriber to me, today you're going to either experience a treat or a disaster. One of the two. If you remember, my very, very, very first video podcast was a failed attempt at a live stream. That was actually video podcast number 1 back in April. My very first video podcast was a failed attempt at a live stream. I would say on a scale from 1 to 5, with 5 being a 5-star live stream quality in terms of both the visual quality, audio quality, and just the overall live stream quality, and 1 being just a horrible. My first attempt was probably at best a 2. It was probably like a 2. So I'm going to attempt again. You will only be able to see this live stream test if you're a Patreon subscriber of mine, $5 and up. $5 and up. You'll be able to see it. That's going to be at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. 5 o'clock p.m. New York City time. Which would be 4 o'clock p.m. Chicago time. Which would be 2 o'clock p.m. Los Angeles time in the United States. So that's when I'm going to do my live stream. I would almost warn you to anticipate some snags, some technical difficulties. I have my fingers crossed. If everything goes well, I'm going to take questions, at least a few questions from the chat room. If things go horribly, it's going to be a very short test. So, since I consider my video podcast number 1 as my first test live stream, I'm going to call this live stream test number 2. Well, it'd be Patreon live stream test number 1. Overall, it'd be live stream test number 2. So again, that's at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. If you're a Patreon subscriber of mine, $5 and up. Man, see, I hate this lighting. Too much lighting. Tell you, man, I still haven't found my right spots in my new digs. But anyway. Shine. Okay. A few quick notes and comments before I start preparing for my live stream, which is going to be in roughly an hour, just over an hour. Just over an hour will be when I do my live stream attempt. I was in the Washington, D.C. / Northern Virginia area from Friday afternoon through Monday morning, yesterday morning. I had at least one dating coaching session I did with a client. Then the rest of the time I spent there was I had a little mini reunion with some people I went to college with. So I had a good time. That was actually my first time in what they call the DMV area in a long time. A few years, actually. See, I really didn't want to touch on this subject again, but I'm going to at least briefly touch on it. Remember I did one of my most controversial podcasts I did in the last couple months was that podcast called Face the Facts, Women Are Winning the So-Called Gender War. And one of the reasons why I emphasize the word so-called is because I've said this once or twice before. Man, if you took away social media, and more specifically, if you took away YouTube, I wouldn't know what the fuck a gender war was. I wouldn't know what the fuck that was, man. If you took away Facebook, Twitter, and most particularly YouTube, I wouldn't know what the fuck no gender war was. Particularly within in the black community. I wouldn't know what that shit was. I mean, the first person to tell me about it was a guy named Alex, who goes by the social media nickname Don Calypso. If you ever watch O'Shea Duke Jackson's channel, and he does his infamous Calypso organ, that's loosely based on Don Calypso. Yeah, Alex told me when I used to do my show, because he used to listen to my Blog Talk radio show. And I remember when I used to do my Blog Talk radio show, he here and there would mention that there was a black gender war going on YouTube. And at the time, I was like, okay, well, what the fuck is that? And anyway, going back to this past weekend, you know, me and my college friends were talking about different things as part of our various conversations we engaged in. And of course, a lot of my friends who I was with was very curious about my career as a dating coach because they find it so unique and fascinating. Many of them said, I don't know anybody else who has a career even remotely similar to yours, Alan. And so I was asking some of them. Now, these were just about all African Americans. I wasn't around any non-black people, so it was exclusive African American college classmates. All of them pretty well-to-do. All of them are college educated. Just about all of them earning either individually no less than $100,000 a year, or as a married couple, I would say they're earning no less than $150,000 a year. So they're all middle class, upper middle class type black people. And I brought up the subject. I think I said something to the effect of, so what do you guys think about this gender war that's going on? Why did Alan Roger Currie do? Man, you shouldn't have saw the looks that my college friends gave me. They the same look that the facial reaction I had when Alex, aka Don Calypso, first told me about it. They looked at me like, what the fuck are you talking about? I said, you know, the ongoing gender war that's going on among men and women in general, and particularly within the black community. Man, they looked at me like I was crazy, like I was speaking a foreign language. And if nothing else, it vindicated why I put in that word, so-called gender war. Because I'm telling you, and I said this at least once, if not twice before, most of the people who I interact with in real life, I would say both black and non-black, but particularly black, man, they don't know about no fucking gender war. They don't know about that shit. Man, they treated that shit like that was the craziest shit they'd ever heard in their life. Because I was around at least 3 married couples who've been married anywhere from 20 to 30 years. So they've been happily married. They can't relate to the idea of this high degree of animosity between black men and black women. And even the single black men and single black women I was around, they were like, okay, like the guy who hosted the party, a friend of mine, I'll call him Larry. Not his real name, but I'll call him that. Larry, he lives in a beautiful home. He's the one who hosted the reunion. He makes probably like $1 million, at least $1 million a year. Now, in fact, he lives in a county that I never knew this. Most people who grew up in the DMV area are going to know this. I'm kind of ignorant to this. Man, I never knew so many counties in either Virginia or Maryland were ranked in the nation's top 15 richest counties in the country. So if you didn't know that, yeah. Like if you Google top 15 richest counties in the United States, I want to say no less than 8 of those of the top 15 richest counties are either in Virginia or Maryland. They're either in Virginia or Maryland. Like there's 2 counties that are right next to each other. Loudoun County, which is #1, that's the richest county in the United States. That's where my buddy lives. Second richest county is a county called Fairfax County. Those are the 2 richest. Well, I don't know if Fairfax is. I think Fairfax is #2, if I'm not mistaken. And I know Loudoun County is #1. And again, that's where my buddy, who I refer to as Larry, lives. Now, here's the thing with Larry. If anybody who was at this mini reunion I attended And if you're a Facebook friend of mine, you probably saw a handful of the pictures, because I posted one or two, and some of my friends posted some of the pictures from this reunion. If there was one person there, at least one black male that was there, who you could say deserved to have some degree of bitterness towards black women, it would be Larry, the host of the party, of the reunion, because he's been divorced twice. He's married to 2 black women. He just divorced his second wife about somewhere between 1.5 years to 2 years ago. So if anybody who was in my presence this past weekend that would have a right to have a high degree of bitterness and animosity towards black women, it would be Larry. And when I brought up the concept of a gender war with him, man, he was like looking at me like I was crazy. He was like, what? And I even asked him, I said, let me ask you, Larry, as a twice divorced African-American bachelor, do you have any bitterness towards black women as a group, not individual black women, like say both of your ex-wives or any of your other ex-girlfriends, but I'm talking about as an entire group? And he basically was like, hell no. Hell no. For one thing, he got 2 very attractive black daughters. He got 1 son and he got 2 daughters. But he was basically like, hell no, I ain't got no bitterness towards black women as a group. Like, he said, I don't know anybody who does. I don't socialize with anybody who does. Both the black men and the black women who I was around said the same thing. The black women said none of their girlfriends expressed any animosity towards black men as a group. And none of the black men who I was around said none of their black male friends had maintained any animosity towards black women as a group. Which again is what my original stance was. I mentioned it on at least one previous video podcast. I was like, dude, people who I interact with in real life, and some people would say, oh, Alan, that's because probably 3/4 of your friends are pretentious types, you know, college educated, as they say in the hood, bougie types. And I do have quite a few bougie type black male and black female friends. For those non-black people who never heard that term, bougie is slang lingo for bourgeoisie, or it simply means, you know, come from an upper middle class type background. A lot of people think of black men and black women who are a combination of college educated and earning 6 or 7 figures as being bougie. Although I've mentioned quite a few times, I have a diverse group of friends. I've hung around brothers and sisters that are straight up from the hood, straight up what you would call ghetto brothers and sisters, and I have brothers and sisters who I'm friends with who are from more of the very bougie end of things. But yeah, man, they could not relate at all to this concept of an ongoing gender war. That to them, that was just like ridiculous to them. It was like just plain out ridiculous. The one sentiment that they expressed that I have expressed to a lot of you people, and particularly I'm identified by race, particularly you black male listeners of mine, more than my non-black male listeners, is that their general attitude was, why would you have any degree of anger, bitterness, or animosity towards people you haven't interacted with in real life, that you haven't had a personal relationship with? And how many times have I said that? I've always said, man, I can understand someone having some degree of bitterness or animosity towards like an ex-spouse of theirs, your ex-husband, ex-wife, a former fiance of yours that your relationship didn't ultimately lead to marriage and you might be bitter about that, or an ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend, somebody you actually interacted with. I think most people understand men and women having some degree of sour grapes feelings or ill feelings towards people that they feel did them wrong, that they were in an actual relationship with. But when it comes to having bitterness towards people that you've never even like as much as had like a 10-15 minute conversation with, I can't relate to that, number one. And the friends I was with this weekend couldn't relate to that. They was like, I can't ever see myself being bitter towards members of the opposite sex that I've never had any type of personal interaction with. They was just like, I can't even understand that. I can't understand anybody who would. They viewed that as crazy, as I do. This shit's crazy. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that, man, because it let me know I wasn't the only one who has this kind of incredulous reaction. Like, what the fuck are you guys on YouTube talking about this fucking gender war for? That's the only time I really hear people talking about, honestly, again, is on social media. Mainly YouTube, and to a slightly less extent, Facebook, and to even a slightly more extent, Twitter. That's the only time I hear people talking about stuff related to some kind of gender war going on. But in my everyday dealings with brothers and sisters, people I interact with, like in my real life, where I have real conversations with, man, they don't be talking about nothing that centers on no fucking gender war. That shit is stupid to them. That shit is like just crazy. I don't know any black men that I interact with in real life who believe they're at war with women. And I don't know any women who feel like they're at war with men. That shit's just goofy, man. That shit's goofy. So I'm just letting you know that. I ain't the only one who feels that way. All the people I was around this past weekend feel the exact way, same way I do, times 3. Times 3. Another thing before I wrap up and get ready for my live stream test. Okay, quick housekeeping notes. Now, I try to stay on top of things when it comes to responding to email consultations. At least half the time when you send me an email consultation question, I will respond by saying, I am going to respond to this question within the next 24 to 72 hours. And usually I do, with the possible exception if I'm traveling. Sometimes it takes me a long time if I'm out of town. Like, again, I was just out of town for like, a little over 3 days just this past weekend. Now, most of you are not guilty of this, so I'm talking to really a small percentage of my email consultation clients. But I have like at least a handful of email consultation clients who are extremely impatient. Like, they'll send me an email consultation question on, say, Friday morning at 9 a.m. And if I haven't responded by Friday afternoon by 4 p.m. or 5 p.m., they'll be like, hey, Alan, what about my question? I asked you a question this morning. Why haven't you answered it? Like, why haven't you answered it, man? This is poor customer service. Why haven't you answered? Hey. You know I love all you guys who are my clients, enthusiastic supporters, and loyal financial supporters, but man, don't ever get that impatient with me, man. Don't ever get that impatient with me. Again, this is not most of you all. This is only a small, very small percentage of you all who fall into this category. But for those of you who know or are listening to me right now, you know you fall into this category. Don't ever get antsy with me within the first 24 hours after you've submitted a question to me. I would say generally don't get antsy with me within the first 72 hours after you submitted a question to me. Now, if it's been more than roughly 72 hours, then yeah, I give you permission to be antsy. If it's been more than roughly 3 days since you sent me your question and I still haven't answered it, usually that only happens when I'm traveling out of town. But even when I'm traveling, I try to keep up with my email consultations. But if it's been more than 72 hours, you got a right to say, hey, Alan, can you give me an estimation of when you get around to answer my question? But if it's been less than 72 hours, man, don't get antsy. Please don't get antsy with me. That's irritating to me. That's irritating to me. Another thing. This is going to be a little mini rant right here. Hopefully it won't be too long. I don't want this to be more than roughly 30 to 35 minutes. Because I got to get ready. I had a guy write me. Guys kill me when y'all do this. When you start off complimenting me, it's like you're trying to butter me up first. You'll say like, hey man, Alan, I got all your books. I love your ebooks, your paperbacks, your audiobooks. I got this one. I got that one. I love it. So you start off with a compliment. but then you'll transition into some sort of harsh criticism. I heard the noise. Some guy writes me a comment, and he says, Alan, man, if I had to criticize you on one thing, man, you know, you always talk like you this big time ladies man and player and womanizer and whatnot. And for the most part, I believe you are based on the, you know, the advice you give guys. But one thing, man, there's a couple other dating coaches, man, and pickup artists, man, that they'll show both pictures of their lovers and fuck buddies, and even some of them show videos of them interacting with their lovers and fuck buddies. How come you don't ever do that, man? How come you don't ever like show a combination of photos and videos of your lovers and fuck buddies, and if not both, at least photos, man? You know, I think it would make you look more legitimate if you were to show us pictures and videos of these 7s, 8s, 9s, and 10s that you've had sex with. Excuse me. Obviously, this guy who wrote me is not a Patreon subscriber, because interesting enough, I just addressed something related to this in one of my most recent, if not the most recent, Patreon exclusive video I did last week. If you have my book, Ooh Say It Again, either the ebook or paperback version or the audiobook version, you know that I spend at least one, if not two chapters criticizing men in these two areas. There's two areas where I harshly criticize men. And I basically tell men, and I did in my recent Patreon exclusive video, and I'm not going to rehash that, but I'll give the general gist of it. I basically say this in my recent video and in my Ooh Say It Again book. If you're a man who aspires to be some type of womanizer, some type of player, a guy who gets a lot of pussy, here's the two worst things you could ever, two characteristics you could ever have. Ever. Hands down, no contest. Is to be extremely judgmental towards women and to be extremely indiscreet. Let me repeat that. The two worst habits you could ever have if your aspiration is to be some type of promiscuous or polyamorous womanizer player type guy, or even what's known as a serial monogamist, is to be judgmental and indiscreet. Those are two things you will shoot yourself. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. I put money on it, because I've seen it happen. I've seen guys who were on their way to being a successful womanizer, and once they exhibited those two characteristics, their career as a womanizer went boom, just ended like almost abruptly. Women will stop fucking with you when you are judgmental and indiscreet. The only exception I would give, if you know my scale from Ooh Say It Again, I divide women into 5 categories in terms of their sexual morals, values, and ethics. And that would be women who are 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s. 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s. A 5, to give you a recap of what each of those categories represent. A 5 is a woman that only is willing to have sex with a man who is their husband or at minimum their fiance. Their husband or at minimum their fiance. That's a 5. A 4 is a woman that highly prefers to only have sex with a man who is her husband, her fiance, or at minimum her long-term boyfriend or romantic companion, but every blue moon, occasionally, she'll indulge in casual sex, non-relationship sex. That's a 4. A 3 is a woman that publicly is going to try to give you the impression she's a 4 or a 5, but in actuality, she engages in casual sex or non-relationship sex at least semi-regularly. That's a 3. A 2 is a woman that's extremely kinky and extremely promiscuous, but publicly she's going to try to give you the impression that she's a 4. Publicly, she's going to try to give you the impression that she's a 4, but privately, she's kinky and promiscuous as hell. And a 1, that's a woman who's openly kinky and promiscuous. Like, she doesn't even try to hide the fact that she regularly engages in short-term and or non-monogamous casual sex or non-relationship sex. She's totally open about it. Like, a woman who's a porno star would be a 1. Or a woman who's a professional call girl or prostitute would be a 1. Anybody who they don't even try to hide the fact that they're a combination of kinky and promiscuous, that's a 1. So out of those 5 categories, if a woman's a 1, you can get away with being both a combination of judgmental and indiscreet. It don't matter. So that's one out of those 5 categories, the one group who you can get away as a man being a combination of both judgmental and indiscreet is the women who are 1s. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. But I'm telling you right now, if you want to have sexual success with women who are 2s, 3s, or 4s, and you're a combination of judgmental and indiscreet, good luck. That's all I got to say. Good luck. So to get back to this person who wrote me this email, hey man, I'm going to put it as bluntly as I can, man. I'm not an indiscreet motherfucker, man. I ain't going to post no fucking pictures of women that I've indulged in casual sex with. Fuck no. Are you stupid? Seriously, are you fucking stupid? I would never, ever, ever do such a thing. Matter of fact, if I wanted to call somebody out who I'm not, but there's a fairly well-known dating coach who actually had to leave the country temporarily because he was doing this on his site. And once I give him a few more details, some of you going to know what dating coach I'm talking about. He had a habit of putting both photos and videos of some of his sexual conquests on his website. And one of his sexual conquests, she went to his website and saw that her video was on there. And she told her father, who was some high-powered attorney, man, he was going to sue the fuck out of this dating coach. He was about to sue the fuck out of this dating coach. This dating coach had to temporarily leave the country to avoid being sued. He had to leave the country to avoid being sued. See, that's the kind of stupid positions you put yourself in when you do stupid shit like that. So, without getting any longer on that note, man, you ain't gonna never see me post. The closest I've ever posted, now I've posted pictures of women that I've had real long-term, serious boyfriend, girlfriend type relationships with over the years. Like, my last one would be, if you simply Google my name and go to images, you're going to see a picture of me, 1 or 2 pictures of me with my last, what I would call real serious relationship, a woman who was like, basically my long-term girlfriend. That was, we dated from between summer 2009 and summer 2010. So if you want to see a picture of my last serious girlfriend, you can just Google my name. I ain't going to mention her name, but she going to come up. But as far as women that I indulge in any form of what I would call casual sex, I'll never post no pictures of that shit. And I lose respect for motherfuckers who do. Including other dating coaches and PUAs and that type of thing. That's indiscreet, man. That's indiscreet, man. I'm not down with behavior that's indiscreet and or judgmental. Indiscreet and or judgmental, Again, listen to my audiobook, Who Said Again. I spend at least minimum one chapter, if not two chapters. Those are two characteristics I harshly criticize in that book. Is men who are a combination of judgmental and indiscreet, man. Yeah, indiscreet would be if you regularly kiss and tell either the real first names or real last names of women you fuck, that means you're indiscreet. If you regularly post pictures and or videos of women you've had casual sex with for the general public to see, that means you're an indiscreet motherfucker. And you ain't gonna never attract no quality women. You'll attract some low quality skanks. That's all you're gonna attract. If you're that way, you're gonna attract. The only women you'll be able to sleep with is low quality skanks. Like I said, ones. Women who are ones. Ones and or skanks. But you ain't no classy type women? Please, good luck. And judgmental, I don't need an explanation. Judgmental means you the type of guy that as soon as you sleep with a woman, you turn around and call her a hoe or a slut. You pursue, say, Michelle Williams for 5 weeks, and then once Michelle Williams decides to give you some pussy, you tell all your buddies, yeah, man, Michelle Williams, she ain't nothing but a hoe, she ain't nothing but a slut. That means you're a judgmental motherfucker. That shit's gonna get around, man. Once Michelle Williams finds out that you called her a hoe or slut, she gonna tell all her girlfriends, and none of her girlfriends gonna give you any pussy. Guaranteed, unless they skanks. Period. Unless they skanks. Final thing before I end this video and prepare for my Patreon exclusive live stream. Now, you know one of my bad habits is, man, the lighting. I listen to other people's podcasts. It ranges. Some weeks I might only listen to 3, 4, 5 other people's podcasts. Other weeks I might listen to as many as 15 to 20 different people's podcasts if I got enough free time. Now, I said in my first video after my Thanksgiving break that I wasn't going to get into rants that will lead to, beefs with other podcast hosts and that type of thing. I'm trying to get past that. But, man, some of you guys out here, man, y'all killing me. That's all I'm going to say. Y'all killing me, man. Y'all killing me. I ain't going to go into some of the specific comments I heard and some of the commentary I heard expressed by various podcast hosts, but I'm going to simply say this, man. I've said it before. Listen to me carefully. Look into my eyes and take me seriously, because I'm going to say this, as O'Shea Duke Jackson loves this word, I say emphatically. Women don't owe you shit. Okay? Do you understand that? I think most of you do. I really do. I would say probably 90% of my regular and semi-regular listeners, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I'll say, I believe they understand it.
But at least 10% of some of my listeners, and definitely people who follow a lot of these other video podcasts, man, y'all don't understand that shit, man. Women don't owe you shit. And I hear a lot of podcast hosts, man, they make commentary that suggests that they feel like, remember again, I did a video that was called Men Are Not Entitled to the Sexual Companionship of Beautiful, Sexy Women. That was one of my most provocative / controversial, as far as provoking a lot of replies and comments and reply comments in my comment section. That's actually the video where I had my second most comments and reply comments next to my video, Face to Facts, Women Are Winning the So-Called Gender War. Is my video called Men Are Not Entitled to the Sexual Companionship of Beautiful and Sexy Women. I still hear a lot of guys making comments where they essentially feel that they are entitled. You're not. Women do not fucking owe you their sexual companionship. They don't. They don't. And I'm telling you, man, if you fail to understand that, you're going to live a fucked up life. Believe me on that. You're going to live at bare minimum, you're going to live a life that's full of frustration, anger, and bitterness. And at maximum, you're going to follow the route of Elliot Rodger. You're going to end up becoming some type of serial killer or serial rapist. That's what you're going to end up becoming if you maintain that attitude that women owe you sexual companionship. They don't owe you shit. They don't even owe it to you to be nice to you. Do you understand that? Women don't owe you shit, man. They don't owe you shit. Believe that. And if I had to be fair and objective, you don't owe them shit. So if you got some women in your life that make you feel like you owe them your non-sexual attention and companionship, or you owe them financial assistance and financial support, then you got a right to be like, bitch, please. That's when you got a right to be like, bitch, please. I don't owe you shit. So it ain't just on the male end. I'm going to be fair and objective and say it's not just on the male end, but it's different types of entitlements. See, I find, generally speaking, and there's exceptions, men tend to feel entitled when it comes to women's sexual companionship. There's quite a few men out here in society who feel like they are almost entitled to gaining access to a woman's sexual companionship. A lot of these guys who've been accused in Hollywood and the media of sexual misconduct, sexual harassment, that was a lot of their problem. Guys like Matt Lauer and Harvey Weinstein and all these cats. If you really read their stories, man, you can tell by their behavior, more so than their comments, just their behavior. They felt like they were entitled to women's sexual companionship. You're not. I know men who nowadays talk about, well, I can't wait till they develop these female sex robots. You want to know why? The only reason you want to have sex with a fucking robot is because robots don't have free will. They can't think for themselves. You need to watch that movie. What's that movie called? Damn. Golly, I'm going to have to look it up. See, because if I don't look it up, I'm going to be thinking about it. There was a movie I saw about this female robot. It was pretty good, too. And see, she had free will, and sure enough, things didn't end well. Let's just say that. I don't want to get too many plot spoilers. See, it's taken. Excuse me for taking so long. I'm trying to find, because if I don't find it, I'm going to be thinking about it. And if I'm thinking about it, that's going to irritate me. Ex Machina. Some people pronounce it Machina. Some people say Machina, whichever you want to call it. Ex Machina. I'll put the link, the IMDb link in the comments section. Man, some of y'all crazy, man. Talking about you want to have sex with... Yeah, the only reason you want to have sex with a female sexual robot is because you think that's the closest thing you'll be able to be to owning a woman's pussy. Why do you think I did that video called Women Will Never Be Like They Were Before 1960? Why do you think I did that video? Which was actually one of my more popular videos. Some of you guys got a pussy ownership problem. That's what you got, in a nutshell. Some of you guys got an entitlement problem, and you got a pussy ownership problem. That's the crux of all of your... This commentary I hear from a lot of you guys, a lot of y'all anger, bitterness, and frustration. Y'all got an entitlement problem, and y'all got a pussy ownership problem. You don't own no woman's pussy. Even your fucking wife, you don't own their pussy. Believe that. You better wake the fuck up, man. Ain't no woman walking this earth that you can say you own their pussy, man. Your ego might make you believe you own a woman's pussy. You don't own no woman's pussy. You don't think the dudes whose wives that I fucked didn't think they own their wives' pussy? Huh? You don't think they didn't think that they own their wives' pussy, but I was fucking them? Wake the fuck up, man. And I know some of y'all critical of me about that, but I don't give a fuck, man. I've had other dudes' wives suck my fucking dick because their husband didn't own shit. And y'all better wake the fuck up on that, man. You don't own shit. And see, I said after Thanksgiving break, I wasn't going to do no more of these angry rants. But some of y'all are so delusional, man, it just makes my head spin. Y'all don't own shit. Every pussy you get, there's a saying now in the manosphere among some guys along the lines of, you don't own no pussy. Every pussy you have at the moment is just your turn. And that's a valid belief or assertion. You don't own no woman's pussy. That's the problem with a lot of you motherfuckers, man. Y'all think y'all can gain ownership over a woman's pussy. Money ain't gonna allow you to own no woman's pussy. Even good dick, as much value as I place on having good dick don't even put you in a position to own a woman's pussy. Good looks, none of that shit. Just like no woman owns your dick. And I doubt if any of you guys would want a woman to feel like she owns your dick. Ain't no woman ever own my dick, and ain't no woman gonna ever own my dick. So y'all need to wake the fuck up on that shit, man. Yeah. So like I was saying, men tend to have an entitlement problem when it comes to sex. Women on the exact opposite end, they tend to sometimes have an entitlement problem when it comes to men's non-sexual attention and companionship, as well as access to his financial resources and material possessions. So that's why I would say women are guilty of the same thing. You know, sometimes women tend to feel like they're entitled to men's non-sexual attention and companionship, as well as entitled to access to his financial resources and material possessions. No, you're not. So if you're a woman listening to this, you ain't entitled to shit. You ain't entitled to shit. That's all most relationships are, is an exchange of entitlements, where the man says, I'm going to allow you access to my non-sexual companionship and my financial resources and material possessions. In exchange, I want you to allow me regular access to your sexual companionship. And they enter into a relationship based on that kind of bartering, that exchange. Keep that in mind, fellas, man. Women don't owe you shit. And you don't owe women shit. Get it? Got it? Good. For my Patreon subscribers, I will join you in about roughly 20 minutes. Peace.
Yes, sir.
Say it again.
Yes, sir.
Who's the king?
Alan, you're the king.
Say it again.
Alan, you're the king. You're dominating me.
Say it again.
Alan, you're dominating me right now. Mode 1.
Mode 1.
Daddy, can I go, please? You're the king.
Say it again.
Oh, king. Oh, you're the fucking king. Yes. Yes. Yes.
You're the king, Alan.
AKA the king of verbal seduction. You know, it's the tone of your voice, how seductive your intonations are, the vibrations that you could just reach out over the phone lines and stroke a woman's breast just by the sound of your voice, how you could make her pussy so wet, just by the sound of your voice. That's actually very hot.
So you said my show was what?
I said your show is powerful.
Oh, say it again.
Your show is powerful.
I bet the king would fuck me really good.
Oh, yeah. Who's the king?
Alan Roger Currie.
Oh, yeah. Who's the king?
Alan Roger Currie. The king.
The king.
The king.